Welcome to a recent interview that I shared with a local alternative care practitioner, Todd LeCesne, who I really think of as an absolute futurist. That is someone that's taking full advantage of the synergistic potential of conventional healthcare and cannabis therapy. I hope you enjoy. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, Todd LeCesne, who is an alternative care practitioner here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We actually met about 4 to 6 months ago, and we were essentially talking about some potential research collaborations. And I found you particularly interesting for several reasons. One is that you have decided to really form a practice around the acceptance of cannabis-based therapy within perhaps a more holistic type of procedure. And this is a topic that is obviously very important, but it's actually something that I made a video about earlier this morning where I was incredibly frustrated, just noting again and just being reminded that basically our government spends very, very little money towards research designed to measure the effectiveness of alternative and complementary pain medications. In fact, the National Institutes of Health spends less than 1% of its budget on alternative and complementary pain treatments, which is incredibly frustrating because after all, we know that a first-line classes of medications often tend to be opiates, which are inherently driving our current opioid epidemic. Todd, welcome.
Thank you.
Please take this opportunity to describe yourself and perhaps describe a little bit about what you do and perhaps most importantly for our patients out there, why you do it.
Yeah. Well, Jacob, thanks for the intro. And my name is Todd LeCesne. I'm an advanced practice physician assistant here in Albuquerque. My practice is Althera, Alternative Care. We're located at San Mateo and Lomas, kind of convenient, right off of the freeway, not too far from the university. The practice is just getting started. It's been quite an interesting journey, if you will, to get to this point in my life. So I have been a physician assistant in town for 24 years, and I've worked in almost all clinical practice settings that we have here in New Mexico, specifically in Albuquerque, but I've also worked as far as down south as Belen as well. My background is primary care. Started at First Choice Community Healthcare way back when in primary care, saw patients there. Was recruited from First Choice to the university to teach at the medical school in the physician assistant program. So I taught MD students and PA students at UNM for 12 years, and that was a wonderful opportunity to refine your knowledge and really get back to the books. It's wonderful to be on a college campus with students that have eager minds and constantly wanting to learn and ask you questions and challenge your level of knowledge. Makes you jump into the books a lot. So I really enjoyed that. That time at UNM solidified my grasp of medicine. I think that I really had a chance to answer questions that I didn't realize that I didn't know in my first couple of years of clinical practice. My time at UNM was wonderful, but I'm like anybody else. I need to grow. So I went to back to school and did a degree, master's degree in evidence-based medicine. That was at my alma mater from my PA program, University of Utah. So my evidence-based medicine master's degree was super important on an academic medical school campus because every time we had a clinical question, the answer is, hey, what's the study? And what did the paper show? What does the research show? How current is your information and your knowledge on that subject and so forth? So that's kind of what I felt like was important to bring to the table and to the discussions with the MDs and the PhDs that I was constantly interacting with on the medical school campus. Continuing my eagerness to grow, I went to business school in 2012 and completed an MBA 2014 or so. And that MBA was an interesting thing. I thought that going to business school teaches you how to do business. Well, what business school does is gives you a desire to do business, I think, desire to build things, to create things, desire to grow, if you will. And I went to the administrators at UNM and said, hey, I'm ready to do something a little bit more significant here on the campus at UNM. And the persons at UNM, no disrespect to UNM because I love UNM and my colleagues over there, but I think that when I went and talked with persons about growing at UNM, the answer is, hey, Todd, we know you more as a clinician. We don't necessarily know you as an administrator. So I respect that, and I resigned from UNM in 2014 and started up pretty directly right over at Presbyterian. And Presbyterian is a big healthcare machine, as you know, as big as we have in our state. Presbyterian said, hey, you've got 20 years experience and a couple advanced degrees, MBA, and a clinical license. Why don't you direct all of the emergency rooms and all the urgent cares? And I thought, gee whiz, that's a great opportunity. Didn't realize what I was stepping into with that, and I would sit down at dinner with 2 laptops and 2 telephones, and the answer is I was constantly on. And anytime something went bump in one clinic, the answer is you have to go deal with that and be responsible for that. Not to mention, we're looking for projections and market shares. We're expecting that you're going to be able to do all of these spreadsheet data and analytics and so forth, and I wasn't a good fit for that. I left Presbyterian after about a year and went back to clinical practice for a brief period over at DaVita Medical Group. I also directed the affiliate network at DaVita Medical Group, which gives me the opportunity to see the business side of medicine kind of on the reimbursement side of the coin. This particular program was intended to bring community clinicians, bring to community clinicians all of the back office data and analytics so that they could optimize their reimbursements in their small clinical practices. Got to know a lot of the community docs there. A lot of the community docs happened to be some of my graduates from UNM that were working in clinical practice, and it was really kind of a fun thing. But again, it wasn't exactly where my passion lied. My passion lies with patient care. And I looked around and I thought, well, what do I do? Do I just go back into clinical practice and continue working in situations that I've been working in for, at this point, is 23 years or so? Even, I think it was 22 years. I started working then at United Healthcare. And with United Healthcare, I was doing home visits and interacting with seniors in their homes, a real relaxed environment. And it was when I went to United Healthcare and I would start to go to seniors' homes that I noticed some things that I hadn't noticed in clinical practice. So one of the tasks that I had with United Healthcare, and I'm still working with United Healthcare doing those home visits, was reconciling patients' medications. So I'd go to the house, ask them, take a full medical history and inventory of their health status. Hey, Mr. Vigil, could you get me your medications? Let's take a look at what you're taking. So out of 7 patients that I would see with United Healthcare during the day, I would say 2 of those patients were using some sort of cannabis-based therapy. Oh, wow. They would bring out gummies or vape pens or edibles or whatever it was, or combinations of all of the above. That's 2 out of 7. Wow. I would say another 2 out of the 7 might have some sort of question. They would ask me about it. So in my opinion, it was definitely half of the patients that I was seeing almost every day. They would ask me something about cannabis, and I thought, well, what's going on with this? It was years prior to my start at seeing patients with United Healthcare in their homes that I was working as the medical director for a licensed not-for-profit producer here in town. And I'm going to leave them unnamed because that thing didn't really work out too well. And my thought is that if this operation isn't 100% on the up and up and following all the rules and doing everything to the letter of the law, then the time that I can associate myself with that practice is going to be pretty slim. So I stepped away from that practice in about 2000, or that organization rather, 2017 maybe. And recently I'm now the medical director and the secretary on the board for Southwest Organic Producers, another licensed not-for-profit producer here in town. This organization is patient-focused, patient-centered. Was really interested in the science of cannabis, the science of the medication, and really seems like a good fit. So I'm really happy to be working with that organization. They have quite a few things in the work with regards to grow operations, expanding their distribution on the dispensary side, possibly picking up some other things on the non-THC containing retail side of the coin as well. So I'm excited to start working with that group as well. So those are some of the things that has brought me to the cannabis space.
Thank you for watching this part of our interview. We truly hope that it helps as many people as possible, including some of you practitioners out there that are still open-minded and want to be able to utilize as many tools and resources as possible to continue to enhance the well-being of your patients. If you appreciate the content that we're bringing you nearly every single day, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons or sharing these videos with your friends and family. Consider becoming a Patreon to this channel or even a donor to the University of New Mexico Medical Cannabis Research Fund, where we are working very hard conducting cutting-edge research every single day using all kinds of different types of research designs, working with humans, animals, large data sets. We do it all, and we're working really hard essentially to improve the well-being of our community. Through these efforts, collectively, together, we're starting to feel it. We're changing the world.